why the Empowerment League? For me, when I heard particularly the numbers of like December around how many women, and particularly women of color, left the workforce, it shocked me. And what shocked me more is how little conversation there was around it. It was just like, okay, we're taking it in. This is just what has happened. Women are taking on a disproportionate weight. They are, they're the ones who are going to be responsible for the schooling. And here, sorry, but it was really done as if it was an individual based bias that, here women, sorry, it sucks for you, rather than saying we're consciously undervaluing, discouraging, and frustrating people that we've tried to raise up for at least 100 years, and with at least the past 40 years concentratedly, and to say, okay, what do we need to do as an empowerment league to understand that it is not just a one-off, that there is importance of looking at what is the systemic sides to these. You taking on the responsibility for your family, it's not just you, there's a collective here. So what is our socialization? What is our responsibility to not only understand it, but say, okay, what are the things that we can do to proactively counteract that? So, because work is not just, in my opinion, it's not just something that you do to get a paycheck, and it's not something you suffer through. For me, you choose your work that is also enriching to you. And that's one of the beauties of finding your passion, finding your magic sauce, finding your wealth or beauty outside of perhaps those traditional roles that you still have, and you can still take, and you still do take a huge amount of pride in, but this aspect that you have to give up, rather than saying, how can we help? And what are the support systems that we can build up so that it isn't an either or choice, but that it's a healthy choice, and that here, the aspects of how are we looking at our potential? How are we looking at the support and social structures needed for making those choices, so that we are able to understand how, yes, we are viable contributors. We are able to get our strength and our growth and our potential and our fun out of being contributing members. And then the other aspect of understanding our vulnerability of this challenge is there's a lot of expectation management that is placed upon women, oftentimes to their own detriment, because it comes from them in our cultural socialization and the small kind of micro expectations. So how do you, on the one hand, understand that? How do you, on the other hand, look to say, what can we do so that these microaggressions are addressed? And so really that opportunity to thrive and flourish is really given. And so for me, the aspect of the Empowerment League is looking at it, okay, I see you. So the garbage pail moms of L&D. So this aspect of, owning a bad hashtag as a sense of pride, of saying, yeah, I'm not meeting that insane expectation, but I have value and worth. And then looking at it as to say, okay, and what's that burning platform around it? What have we given lip speak to, particularly around women of color, and how they have been disenfranchised and really put in a much more challenging situation? What can we do to show allyship and really understand how, if we lift one group up, we lift other groups up? Then going in and looking at, the facilitation of playing big, doing a riff off of that, the glass ceiling and the glass cliff, around how are we setting up a couple of our wonderful female leaders also for unsuccessful endeavors, as being kind of the, here you go, here's our offering at the sacrifice of public opinion. and what that does to derail careers, but also to derail one's own confidence and abilities, where the women have to rediscover themselves and find their worth outside of what they've been branded as, kind of Hester Prynne's, to then say, okay, and then what's our, and then bringing it back from kind of the larger scale and understanding those socializations to say, okay, and then what can I do? So what is my commitment statement? Like you're going to be talking to say, okay, it doesn't always have to be huge, but it has to be significant. So what is it in terms of a meaningful contribution that you can see? Because this is also when we're contributing, we don't feel so helpless. So this is big or small, what is that contribution, and how are we creating a space where we can collaborate these contributions, where we can create an aspirational tribe of awesome women working together and experimenting and trying things out and being that support system to one another.
Yeah. Within the L&D side of it, though, so these are people that are individuals working, where our audience is going to be people that are attracted to the L&D Cares side of it. Certainly that's, but are we looking at anything within that to there? Because there are some people that have some leverage.
Absolutely.
And are we looking to also, make the challenge that, within your own L&D initiatives, what are you doing about these things? What can you take away from this? So are we looking to make change just on an individual basis, or are we looking to have a bigger impact? How
Excellent.
would you explain that?
So for me, it always goes individual, team, organization, society. Because for me, that aspect of change always starts with you. And understanding what's your own kind of personal shift, what's your own kind of personal approach towards, it's one thing to acknowledge habits, and it's another thing to adopt new habits. But then again, like we were talking about, it's not just on an individual level, it's within the cross mix of we together have a much more significant power and impact to raise our voices so that they will be heard, because one of the things that I like to talk about are what are some of the unspoken themes in D&I. And this for me is one of them, of how do you, it's not collective bargaining. It really isn't. It's collective strength and understanding what is your own voice, what is your own opinion, what are your own values and principles and how they play out, and having the exploratory ground to really understand that is so important, rather than just kind of, flowing through and just liking something and saying, okay, we're wearing purple today, without saying, okay, what does this mean to me personally, Ingrid, me personally, Elizabeth? And that's why for me, it has to be personal. But then the beauty of the Empowerment League as a broader group is we are all in our various networks. We're in all of our aspirational tribes. And the aspects of how are we showcasing voices and highlighting research, highlighting the different practices that we have to create opportunity to welcome others into the awesome. This is one of, and I really appreciate this question because, one thing that I got, we have a lot of discussions around recruiters. Why don't recruiters be better at, creating, job descriptions, and recruiters, they ghost us. And I come back to, if we are L&D and talent, and we have people complaining about their toxic workplace around, their toxic leaders, that's L&D leaders. Those are talent leaders. If a group should know better how to do that, you would think that it would be from our own function. So saying, okay, how do we address the elephants in the room? That is our own leadership stories and what we're exposing people to. How can we create better? How can we create better opportunities for seeing your own self-worth in the workplace? And also giving that empowerment to others that you're working together with, I like to say it's like a scavenger hunt. Everyone has, everyone brings in their own, associative thinking, their background, et cetera, and you make something beautiful together. That's why I talk about co-creation, is because you combine things in new ways that you couldn't do before, because you didn't have access, or those opinions weren't being shared. And so that's why, for me, this is our circle of influence. This is our circle of need. How can we be creative with the skills and expertise and the curiosity that we bring to the table, to really co-create a better path for people's development, where they feel like, okay, I can have impact, I can grow, and these relationships, they really are inspiring to me, and I see my own potential growing when I'm in these spaces.
Yeah. So a collective opportunity for even like reframing. And then if we take that back, even if it's just, I've changed my mind of this little thing, and then you, without even realizing it, maybe even take it back into your work, how does that ripple then go on through the organization? Because and I like that it's an opportunity for people to come to their own conclusions and start to rethink without being told. I mean, nobody wants to be sat down and told, here's why L&D care sucks. People are bad at the job, and you need to do these 7 things better. We wouldn't have initiatives if you guys had bothered doing this correctly in the first place. And that's not going to help anybody. So